Hello. Lovely to see you. Hello, Penny. Hello, Mark. Hello, Ricky. By the way, today's a webinar. Hello, Lena. Lovely to see you as always. Simon, Eden, everybody. Hello. So, hello, Sarah. Lovely to see you as
Hello,
always.
hello.
Lovely to see you all. So the good news is today you can be off camera. It's a webinar, so it's going to be. I'll tell you when you can come on camera. So it's got lots of information coming your way today. Is being recorded, which I'll send out as well in case you don't quite catch some of the nuggets I'm dropping. But the good news is today is really about me giving information. Of course, you can ask questions. Please put them in the chat. I'll create time for that as well. And of course, I would be happy to hear from you. But of course, if you want to stay on camera, I love seeing smiley faces. So please, it gives me someone to look at. I can see Lena smiling right now, which is nice. Hi, Abigail. Long time no see. I can see Josie. Hello, Josie. So
Hello.
do stay on camera. But if you feel like, oh no, I want to eat my lunch in the background and you don't want me to see the lettuce stuck between your teeth, then, do go off camera. That's okay. It's one of those, it's okay not to be on camera. I'm going to get started because you're on time, and I always like to honor everybody that's on time as well. Thank you for being here. So, just to be clear, today is about delivery. So, last month, some of you joined me, and it's all about marketing yourself. Today is all about delivering. And they're not also what I want to say up front is they're not in a particular order. So I'm going to go through 7.5 steps. That's right, 7.5. But they're not in that order. What I've done is I've collated everything that I've seen, I've learned, I've taught, I've witnessed, I've researched, put it together, and this is what we're going to do. So today the focus is about delivery. So just be clear about that. But of course, if there's time and you have questions about marketing as a speaker, I'll gladly do that. If I can just ask everybody to go on mute, that'd be fantastic. A big hello from me in Devon, where it's been snowing. Don't know if it's been snowing at yours as well, but it's been snowing here, which is nice to see. But sadly, it doesn't settle here. But also, of course, please feel free to put your name, what you speak about, and your contact details in the box, just in case someone goes, there's Abigail. I've been meaning to connect with Abigail. Let me click on her link and say hello. It might be Simon. Who knows? But there's nothing wrong with putting your stuff in the box anyway, and feel free to do so. Um, Also, as we're doing that, what is your biggest obstacle when it comes to delivery? I really would love to know from you as I look now at the chat box. What is your challenge when it comes? Maybe you just want to be better. Like you're really well polished, but you just want to learn that little bit that might give you that little bit between your teeth, make you that little bit better. Maybe you feel like it doesn't quite land. You get a round of applause, but it's not quite connecting. Other than my beer belly, that's something else. This wrong call for that. But there we go. I'm just intrigued about your delivery issues, not to do with your bellies. Because I think I know how good I know if it's good enough. What is it being compared to? Just something internal, Abigail. Maybe you know that your storytelling could be better. Maybe it's the cadence in your voice. It's just kind of this is more of a self-awareness type webinar. Maybe you're like, you know what? I just want to learn what it takes, and that's okay too. There's absolutely no right or wrong here whatsoever. I'm just being nosy. I'm just really intrigued, to be honest, what you think it is. Trying to fit everything I know in also good. We're going to be addressing that as well. So we got language, confidence to speak from memory, brilliant. Um, Motivational speaker from Coventry. Hello there, lovely to see you as always. Remembering all I want to say. Okay, some good stuff. Keep that coming, all right? Managing nerves, finding the right people to get in front of. That's everybody's speaker's challenge. We've got David from London, Toastmaster. Clarity of message. Okay, cool. Repeating myself too many times. Keep them coming. I'm going to keep that open for a bit. Just who we speak to, the experts we work with. For those who might be wondering who we work with, this is who we've worked with, who we currently work with, who we've trained in the past as well. And what are the problems they all share? Well, this is part of the problems they all share. Teachers versus sharers, all that kind of stuff. Oh, is that Anna Hemmings? I see. Wow, Anna Hemmings is joining us. Fantastic. Stuck in good. The other thing we find is a lot of speakers kind of get stuck at good. They kind of plateau. They're good. They could be better. They're making some money. Just remember to mute yourselves, people. But they're stuck at good. That's another challenge we find as well. So I want to address some of those challenges as we go along. Hi, Anna. Lovely to see you. And just a little bit about me for those who've never met me before. I run a bunch of brands that serve speakers at various levels. Can I just make sure everybody remembers to mute themselves? I can hear someone not mute. So I have a coaching and training company. I have an awards company, which I co-founded. So it's not just mine. We have Ricky here, Lifetime Achievement Awardee in the room. Hello, Ricky. Always lovely to see you. See Ricky, Lifetime Achievement Awardee, and is here to learn. Love that attitude. We also have a summit that we run once a year. I have a Inspired Speakers Networks that I run once a month. So there's a variety of brands, all supporting speakers along the journey. You can mute everyone from the host. Yes, I do know that, but I'm in my flow, Mel. Thank you for that. But I will make doing that. So a little bit, I've written 6 books. I speak internationally. I also mentor the Princess Trust, and I've run a couple of podcasts as well. So that's a little bit about me. I've won awards as a speaker and as a coach and as a trainer, and I've worked with a variety of brands. So what I'm teaching you is hands-on, what I've seen, what I've witnessed, what I've researched. This is going to be full of value, and I'm going to give you a couple of opportunities to potentially work with me if you choose to as well. These are the variety of brands. We work with people that have been on TV. We work with property investors, with authors, with campaigners. We work with people who made it onto Master Chefs. And I work with a variety of experts, as you know. One of them, this is Maria. You've heard me talk about her. She came along already. She's been booked for a year. She was speaking for a year. She wasn't getting paid. She wasn't winning business. And when we tweak things, which is what I'm going to show you, she then landed herself a good contract. So I just want to show you that this is stuff that works. So let's talk about this. I'm going to close stuff now so I don't get distracted, so I can see it. The first thing when it comes to world class, right? World class speaking is absolute clarity of message. Now, one of you put that in the chat, I believe you put that it's not quite clear. If we think about world class speakers, they have one clear message, and everything that they're delivering leads to that messaging. So if we look at some examples here, right? If you think of Simon Sinek, Start With Why, Brené Brown, Vulnerability, Martin Luther King, I Had a Dream, there's one message, and their whole keynote, their whole talk surrounds that message. Everything they do leads them there. And then you've got the talk by William McRaven when he talks about if you want to change the world. And if you haven't seen that keynote, I highly recommend it, because he continuously loops back to if you want to change the world, and he changes the sub message. But everything leads back to if you want to change the world. He starts off by talking about making your bed, which of course is a warm way to do it. Of course, Simon Sinek, when he talks about start with why, and then everything he does in that TED talk leads to start with why. He demonstrates scientifically why it works in the brain. Everything to do with that leads to the same messaging. And the difference between good and world class is a lot of good speakers have a lot of messages, right? Or they're mixed messaging or lack clarity of messages. So then you're relying on your speaking to carry the talk. And people might remember that you were good, or you were funny, or you were nice, but they won't remember your messaging. Okay. So please take the time to get absolutely clear and have one core message, one clear message that people can take away. Some people, I was talking to someone in the States yesterday, and they talked about, the one liner. If you can't summarize your talk in one line, there's some work to be done there. So I just want to keep that in mind as well. Clarity. Now, a lot of it is, by the way, I want to just say this quickly. I know a lot of you know this. So use this as a reminder. Use this to kind of go, oh, yeah, is my message landing? And I can tell you when people know your message is clear or not is by how quickly you get responses and how quickly you get booked in front of the right audiences. So I've been through, some of you might see me talk about this on LinkedIn this week. I went through this whole cleansing process to getting my messaging absolutely clear. And since that's happened, things have accelerated in terms of booking, the speed of them, how quickly people get what I do. So I just want you to understand that even if you're experienced, it's worth checking that your messaging is landing, that you have that one key message that leads to where you want to go. All right. So as I said, there's 7.5 to go. So we'll keep going. And I've got an hour to get through them. The other thing, when I've worked with world-class speakers and when I've witnessed and looked at world-class speakers, is they think in sections. right? Um, when we start to look at a talk that needs to be delivered, whether it's 100 people or 1,000 people, and I work with a lot of sort of high level speakers, they know where their talk needs to arrive. But what they start to do, and this is what we do and what I do, is you think in sections of your talk, and the sections of your talk each has a purpose to lead to the key messaging or to magnify and emphasize the messages. Because a lot of speakers I work, especially at the beginning when people are getting going, they like, okay, I'm going to talk about this. This is my talk. I'm going to talk about resilience. I'm going to talk about mental toughness, right? I'm going to talk about agility. I'm going to talk about AI. And they know what the talk is about, but they don't segment it, and they don't think of each section, the impact it's going to have, how it's going to lead to the message, how it's going to support, what's the right way to feel, what do they want the audience to feel in that part. I'm going to go back over this in a second, but I just want you to stop thinking as a whole and start thinking in bits that lead to the whole, which is why structure is really important. Having the right structure, having the right intention for that structure, knowing where you want to lead per section, right? This is the difference. When I do structural work, I break it down into segments and we think of each section, what do we want to achieve for that section? Then you look how it's leading to the overall impact. So again, a lot of people have their talk. I've got my talk, but when I ask them what section does what, a lot of times they go, "Oh, I never thought about my talk in the sections." Right? So that's another thing about being a world-class speaker is you think of your talk in sections. A bit like a movie would think like a storyboard, and they think of each part, it's engineered for a certain impact. It's the same with world-class speaking. There we go. Each section's layered, right? So I want you to think of that as you break your talk down to section. As I say, I'm going to give lots of value here, loads of value, I hope. Anyway, what's the intention for the audience, right? What do you want the audience to feel, to think, right? And really thinking of that per section will change the dynamic of your talk, period. And then again, how does that lead to the messaging that you want them to take away? So let's say you have a 45-minute talk, keynote, which a lot of you do right now. If you thought about it just for the sake of this in 4 sections, what do you want them to feel per section? What do you want them to take away per section? And how does that align with the messaging? That already will transform your talk. Now, of course, there's a lot more to it, but a lot of good speakers just don't think that way. And when I work with world-class speakers, they absolutely break it down. And like I said, like a bit like a film, they think of every part, every feeling, every element to really elevate their talk. And that's why the big speakers get the big bucks,
Hmm.
right? You know,
J'attendais ça, j'écoutais ça, j'étais inscrit pour un séminaire là, et puis
someone speaking French here. Let me see where.
ça a
Um,
commencé depuis. Bah, vas-y,
I
tu.
can't I can't find my mute button right now. Can everyone make sure they're muted? As nice as it is to hear French, I absolutely think it's a beautiful language. Just don't think I want to hear it while we're doing this webinar. Great. Thank you for muting yourselves. There we go. Right. So I really want to think of it in section and layer it. Emotion, feeling, thought, outcome. What is it? Right. I'll stop in a second and take a little bit of questions as well. Now, this one is going to be the busiest slide you will see for this. So stay with me for this as well. Right. So again, I'm talking of, and for those of you who came a bit late, I want you to remember that this isn't in a particular order. All right. This is about what are the different elements, and some will speak to you more than others. So take from the bits that you want and work for you. You might be already being doing certain elements I'm talking about. Hopefully, you'll take some other nuggets to magnify it. And I know already by breaking your talks, for some of you to think of your talk in sections is already like, oh, okay, never thought of that. Right. So let's look at this key 4. Right. And I know on this call, there's some very highly paid speakers and some very established speakers already. Is the obsession with detail. Right. I've worked with speakers at different stages, and the more sort of established speakers I've worked with to help them, because one thing I do is the speaker directors help pull out their talk even more, anything from thousands upwards I work with. And what I've noticed with the people that get and are getting paid very high is the attention to detail. They will not skim over the tiniest things. They will not let it go, right? And I don't mean an unhealthy obsession. Okay. I mean, I will look at the chat in a second. I mean a healthy obsession with detail. So what I've done is I've looked through a lot of my recordings of working with people, and I looked like what is the obsession with? So this is the busiest slide you'll have on this. But these are the kinds of things world-class speakers obsess over, right? And I want to go through them and spend some time doing this because I think it's really important. So the one thing, I mean, again, there's bits of it. It's not always at once, but these are the elements. And I really wanted you to understand the key elements that world-class speakers I work with, I've watched, I've analyzed, obsess over. Content mastery. I've talked about the clarity and focus, obviously the relevance to the audience. So something that I've noticed that when I've worked with and I've seen world-class speakers is they're always evolving their content so it's relevant for the audience, right? And that's the key. While you have the theme you talk about, right? What world-class speakers do is they will allow it to move with time. They will evolve it. They will grow it. They will foster it in a way that it continuously has impact to the audience. And you change as a speaker as well. So your audience might change. Keep that in mind. And of course, they have a solid structure which allows them the flexibility to move it around and to change it, but remain strong with its delivery. The second thing they often obsess over, and this is where really, is massive, is the delivery technique. They're continuously listening back, watching back the tone, the cadence, right, of the voice, the body language. What did that gesture communicate? Was my shoulders, they're really analyze, and I do them with my own talks. I will watch it back and I'll analyze and I'll slow it down and I'll look at and I'll pick up the detail, but not in a self-defecating way. Okay, it's not to beat yourself up over it. It's to learn from it. It's to become better. Eye contact, the pauses. Was the pause long enough, short enough, too long? Did it land? Did it not land? And this is the elements that really make the world class. It's attention to detail. Emotional impact. Did I lead the audience to have the emotional impact that I wanted, that I needed, that I really wanted that outcome? The passion and energy, was it too much, too little? Did I lose my energy? There was one speaker I work with, and she does big rooms, big rooms. Incredible storyteller. She gets paid in the 10Ks upwards. And when I worked with her and we analyzed her talk, she was carrying the room in her voice, right? Which meant that it was very hard for her to maintain the level of energy that she needed to output. So once she did some vocal work and once we did some archetype work, which I'll show you in a bit, she was more impactful and even stronger and better because she wasn't carrying the whole room in her voice. And this is the kind of detail I'm talking about. The other thing about carrying a room in your voice, you often will be stuck in sort of your visual part of your voice. This is the kind of detail I'm talking about. Your voice has three levels: visual, auditory, kinesthetic. And to carry a room, you're often in your visual, which means you're quite high, which means when you want things to be serious, you can lose that. So that's what I'm talking about when it comes to detail. Visual sensory support, always refining the slide deck. What media can help magnify and emphasize and help pull it out without dominating? What are the props to use? What are demonstrations that will have the impact? Adding them, dropping them, tweaking them, changing them. I saw a speaker a few weeks ago, fantastic speaker called Matt. He even tells you, look, I'm going to talk to you a little bit like a child right now because I'm going to do magic tricks. And he completely warms the audience. And it's really funny, but it's not corny. It's not cheesy. And his lines are well rehearsed. And these are the kind of, I'm not saying, by the way, you all suddenly have to do magic tricks. That's not the point I'm making here, okay? But I'm saying that adding those layers also get you to stand out. That's what he did. And that was good. But do you see demonstrations, all those things? The other thing is they're always training, practicing, they're getting feedback and they're adapting. Audience engagement, they're looking the interaction, what landed, what didn't land, is the clear call to action, are people doing what they asked? And of course, connection. And the last thing there is continuous improvement, right? So I think six and seven work together, but six and five even, sorry, but really continuously reviewing. I mean, how many, if I ask any of you, how many times do you watch a talk you've given? I'm gonna have a look at the chat. How many of you look at it not in a way that you hate yourself, but in a way that you love yourself, but you're like, hey, once, yes, I'm getting here. Good. 10 times. Good. Two or three times. Fantastic. I watched it if I'm using footage and adding captions. Okay. Good. Once, and we can tell. Two or three times. Good. Three times a different. Fantastic. Good. So a lot of you are on this. Good. Like to see. But by the way, that was like seven people that answered out of a room of, I'm not sure right now, 30 plus. So let's see. All right. At the moment, constantly while editing podcast content. So this should be a part of your speaking process. This shouldn't be it should be, 10 times. I watch my talk 10 times, not because you are, look at me, I'm so good. Oh my God, look at me. I love how I did that. On the contrary, we're looking for how can we improve with that critical eye, but not the critical eye in the sense to beat yourself up, but in the sense to improve. I listen, I watch, not, in fact, if I had a if it was up to me, obviously I wouldn't watch it as much as, but I watch 10 times and I will watch it in different ways at different points. Sometimes I slow the frame down so I can really watch my body movement. And for those of you seeing me speak, I move around. I'm very gestural. That's my style. It doesn't have to be everyone's style. I story tell. I use the top of, which we'll talk about with the archetypes, the top part of the stage, of this space as well. And I do that because I want to continuously improve and continuously be world class as much as possible. So I hope this is getting you thinking. It's getting you sort of going reflective. And, it's okay if you do it. This isn't about, that at all. You don't have to go, no, I did, if you do it, great. I'm sure there's something throughout this presentation that you can take and improve as well. Yes, as well. It does take ages, but this is part of the process. Now, I know plenty of speakers, might be some of you in the room, might not, who will do the talk and never look at themselves. Does anyone know someone like that? I see some smile faces going as I look down the videos. So someone clearly knows somebody like that. Not you, of course. But this is it, like world class. It is about being analytical with and reviewing our performance, left, right, and center. We've got Anna Hemmings here, who's an incredible speaker on the call. She's a former Olympian, and she would have reviewed her Olympic performance time and time again. The detail matters, right? Watch her storytelling, by the way, when she talks about losing a race by this much. Oh my God, it's just moving, right? But those details, when you watch Anna's storytell, but also as an Olympian, it's the detail and becoming obsessive over them. So I hope it's okay. I use this as an example, Anna. But this is important. I want to elevate each and every one of you because we need great speakers. We need great message bearers out there in the world, right? This is why I put this on to support, and hopefully you'll take them and go, oh, yes. So I want to hear that you watch your talk 10 times. I want to hear that you go, oh, yeah, tweak this. I changed that, right? So that's what I want to do. So any questions? I'll take a couple of questions right now. If anyone has a question, I'll actually scroll back to see if anybody said anything about that. Adding captions 3 4 times, once or twice. Gives me squirms. Thanks for your honesty, Mel. But a few times, good. Look, as I say, I think if we all had a choice, we probably all wouldn't watch ourselves. But the way I frame it is this: watch yourself as if you're watching your best friend. You want them to do well, but they will happily listen to feedback, right? Once, I would love to connect. There's loads of connections. Right. Let's see if there's a question before I move on. How do you make your talk interactive with the audience? So there's some typical ways you can do it. There's obviously asking questions, but I think it's also shifting the mind from speaking at an audience to having a conversation with an audience, asking questions, getting them to do things, right? By doing demonstrations and keeping it interactive, getting them to talk to each other. It does depend on the theme, Mel, of your talk, right? No, is it Mel? I'm sorry, Rachel, who asked that question. Hello, Rachel. Nice wave there. But those are some of the things. It does depend on the theme. However, obviously asking questions, demanding responses, getting them to do stuff. I mean, these days, you can do live polls and you can actually see the results come in if you use things like Slido and stuff like that. Like one of the talks I do when I do about the archetypes, I get them to put who they think they are as a speaker, and then we then poll them again and go, actually, this is where you are. So polls are a good thing these days with AI. There's a lot of interactive stuff you can actually implement throughout your talk that creates that interaction. So if you, I'm more than happy to have a chat and see what your talk and how we theme it. Today I was working with someone, and she's going to give everyone in the audience a puzzle because she talks about piecing things together and simplifying things. So it is thinking a little, as long as it's not cheesy or hammy, that it enhances your talk. There's some clever stuff you can do, right? I mean, obviously, I know one speaker, she uses a cloak, but she does it in a very good way, not in a cheesy superhero way. She talks about the cloak of fear, and she'll put it over and then take it off. And so there's various ways to engage the audience. And then everyone leaves with little props, like their own little cloak, but it depends on your pricing as well. So I hope this is helping. There we are. Best friend kindness. I like that too. Cool. How do you continue to make you relevant without? That's a great question, Sarah. So the way you keep your messaging relevant is twofold. One, obviously, is your own awareness of your industry, your market space. But the other side to it, of course, is understanding the key question is what keeps your audience up at night. And so that will evolve, that will change. Obviously, let's say if we take the P word, the pandemic word, what kept people up at night was different to what will keep them up at night now, right? So that's how you keep your messaging relevant and current. It's interesting because when I started my own process of clearing and cleansing, um, I thought I was one thing, but once I went through this process, it turns out I talk about impactful leadership communication. That's what I do, and I'm a speaking director, but that's not where I thought I would land. And that comes from having those tough conversations with some people. They'll give you very honest feedback. But the key thing is knowing your relevancy to your audience, but also knowing the audience's problems that relate to your messaging. So that's how I would answer that. Is there a difference between face to face and online? Do you have to give more energy when speaking online? If you're talking in terms of delivery, I think there's twofold. I'm doing it sit down because I'm a mic. This is a webinar. If I was doing a talk, I would be standing up with a camera and a clicker, right? So I don't feel, I think if anything, the energy online needs to be more focused and contained because you're on a mic, right? You're more restricted with your screen. But I think the energy I give is equal, but it's focused versus when I'm offline, I can use my arms more. I can express myself differently. But I feel your presence must almost be dialed up a bit when you're online because also you need to keep engagement. You need to keep people listening and talking. And it's very easy. We're very distracted. I think you all agree. You've probably all got your phone sitting there and you're checking every now and then and checking your email. So yeah, I think the energy is different, but your present needs to be as felt either way. So I hope that helps. Sarah, I have plans based on our previous. Oh, good. Not a cloak, but similar. There we go. There we are. So, okay, cool. Right. I've got 3.5 more steps to go. Are you getting value from this, people? Yeah. Am I getting you to think and reflect? And, I know some of my clients also in this call. So it's lovely to see you, Jane, and other people I know I'm working with. So it's lovely to see you show up to these as well. So just look, let's just stop doing what doesn't work. All right. I see a lot of good speakers tell good stories, but they're irrelevant to their topic or their messaging. The other thing you must see this is speakers overloading with information, hoping that if they overload their audience with information, something will land. Let's stop doing that. That is not world class. Too many messages. Can you imagine if I went to talk, I said, oh, I've got this message, which is just do it. And then it's, I have a dream and, oh, let's be vulnerable and start with why. And it's all like, all these things come, stick with one clear core message, period. The other one is too many models. Oh, I've got this model and I've got this acronym and I've got this flow. Again, that is not world class. We want to simplify so people can truly process and digest, right? And of course, wrong type of audience, wrong type of content for the audience. This happened to many moons ago. I'll tell you a very quick story. I was invited to speak in front of business owners thinking they were at the beginning. And I'll never forget this. It was this really posh venue in London. And I said, how many here run a business? And I put my hand up thinking there'll be one or two. all the room put their hand up. At that moment, my content was completely irrelevant to them. So I had to think on my feet. It's very much at the beginning. This is over 10 years ago, right? But that was like, oh my God, completely wrong content. Had to think on my feet, had to adapt. I did okay. I know I could have done better,
Don't
but
worry.
but I think a lot of people just don't place their content right. And that comes from, by the way, can you just mute yourselves? That comes from not asking the right questions when you're being booked. Who's in the audience? What size businesses? For example, if you're a business speaker, where are they? All the relevant scoping questions. That's when you can actually mispitch your content. And one way of delivering, I deliver this way. This is it. And that is not world class. We'll talk about what makes it world class in a second. I mean, all of this, we've done 4 steps to this point, but I've got 3.5 to go as well. So hopefully you learned something. I'm seeing something in the chat. Just give me 1 second. I'll come back to that. I just arrived. Oh my God, I had a dream about me. Oh my God. Okay, cool. So what I want to just quickly tell you about, I'm running for Black Friday, a one-to-one feedback session. If you want to do your talk to me and get feedback, I'm running that up. When I worked with Jazz last year with her, she's already 4-figure upwards speaker. She's won Speaker of the Year 22, 23, very established. And with her, I watched her talk and we broke it down to sections, feelings, and we introduced the archetypes, which I'm going to talk about as well. So with her, that really helped elevate and change the impact for the better of her talk. Very established already, came to me because she knew there was another level. So if you want to, what we're going to look at, your speaking presence, your audience connection, actionable feedback, any content that's relevant or relevant, and look at emotional layering as well. So someone I did with, some of you might know Christine, I did a signature talk training with her. For her, she was at the beginning. As a result of that, she landed a speaking gig, which was paid, and she's been booked several times within her space as well. Edward, someone I work with as well, he's already very established, already had 4 businesses, sales all his life. Again, with him, we tweaked the structure and we added the purpose piece to his speaking, and that changed everything for him in terms of delivery and impact. Very simple formula. You'll present your talk to me, I'll give you feedback and show you how we can move forward so you're supported. It's just a one session as well. And this is for you if you want 2025 to really take your speaking wherever you are to another level, you want to have more impact, or you might have lost momentum. It's just not quite landing, or you've got big gigs coming up and you want to be 100% at your best. Of course, I want to take you to world class. So if you do sign up by Friday, I have a document from our Gig Getter service, which we've paused now, which has something like 800 speaking opportunities on it. You can have that as a bonus as well. It's just a spreadsheet, by the way, people. You will have it. You can look at it, and I'll talk you through it another time. So if you want that, right, I'll gladly give that to you if you sign up by Friday. Some of you might have come across one. I've talked about him a couple of times. Ex-military, very stiff, very, very wooden. Work with him on his structure, work with him on his messaging, work with him a lot. We had to work with him. Let's put it that way. We had to work with him on him. And then he managed again to get paid to really soften, and his delivery became world class. That he actually landed a CEO job as a result of it as well. And then there's Sarah, who's a property investor, again very confident, ex investment banker, came along, and we showed her structure, delivery, storytelling, gave her the feedback she needed, and then she went on to get TEDx, get paid, and everything around that as well. So if you do want it, the link will be in the chat. It is one-to-one 2024, right? And the Black Friday offer is 147, and it's up to 90 minutes as well. So the link will be in the chat. I'll email it out as well. And then plus you'll get the Gig Getters golden document, as we call it, with lots of speaking opportunities. So if you want me to give you feedback, to deliver it to me, we can go from there. 147 is Black Friday offer for that. All right. I will email this out. I will send it to you as well. But yes, normally a feedback session is £500, but everybody's in the Black Friday mode. So why not us? Right. There you go. Shall we carry on? Yeah. Can I have some thumbs up? You're thinking, oh, shall I work with Elliot? Yes, is the answer. Right. Let's go. Let me just check the chat, by the way. Don't worry, big event. I've just had a dream about me. That one. Oh, good, good. It's a big event. I like it. All right. Lots of links, lots of links, lots of links. Cool. All right. Let's do this. Let's carry on. Right. Number five. Now, for a lot of you, this is obvious. You're like, oh, of course, storytelling. Thanks, Abigail. Thanks. I got one thumbs up to carry on. um, Masterful storytellers, world-class speakers are masterful storytellers, period. Right? They take, so I'll give you an example. I was working with a lady called Elaine, and she had to talk about an app. There was a data app, right? It was the most boring content you could think. Period. It was just she came. It was like, Elliot, this is just boring. So what we decided to do is we decided to tell the app story through The Greatest Showman, and we use characters from The Greatest Showman to be the features, right? And so then she used all of that. This is the greatest show. Oh, I don't think she sang it, and you can see why I'm a speaker, not singer, right? And my daughter reminds me of that very often. But we used it to bring it to life. So we told the story of The Greatest Showman, which was telling the story of the app. Now, in that case, we lent on something well known and famous and, well, fairly well known. But her ability to deliver that in a way that was engaging and enticing is what elevated her, which is why she got booked to speak at the conference she got booked. I really invite every single one of you, when you're looking and when you're looking at detail and refining everything, to really think about your storytelling, right? Because storytelling is what gets people connected. People immediately put themselves in the shoes of the storyteller, right? As well, and they go with you on a journey. So really think about the types of stories you need to tell: business story, personal stories, right? Success stories, failure stories, really have a variety of them. And the other thing I notice, and when with world-class speakers, is they choose the right part of the story. Not every single part of the story you choose is relevant, and not you don't always need to start it right at the beginning and go all the way to the end. So it's the right part of the story which will elicit the correct emotion that you want. Now, of course, we can't control what emotions the audience will feel, but generally speaking, you can lead them there in the right way, which is why choosing the right part of the story, using the storytelling part to really elicit that. Do you want to move them? Do you want to make them smile? Do you want to make them cry? It all depends on the type of speaker you are. But world-class speakers get this, and they practice it, and they work it left, right, and center. Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of speakers have a book, right? That's got all the stories they hear to remind them. So they have like a bank. I don't call it a black book, but they have a book that just has loads of little stories to remind them when they want. And it always links to the key message, period. Right? Wherever you watch a lot of the world class and ones I work, they always links back. If it doesn't relate, if it doesn't link back, they don't use it, no matter how good it is or how entertaining it is. Right? So keep that in mind. Really, I know Ricky here on the call really trains people on storytelling as well. So find that person that's right for you. Find that guide that's right for you. Obviously, I could be one of them, but sometimes you don't click with them. That's okay, right? That's fine. But really, masterful storytelling is part of being a world-class speaker, right? Period. And the better storyteller you are, actually, the less you have to work hard on the content side because you would have grabbed them through your storytelling, right? Not to say your content isn't important. So, what's a different way you can tell the story of your content? How can you bring a different angle to it, right? I really want you to think about that part as well. And are you telling the relevant part? We heard about Maria at the beginning. She was telling stories and she spoke in front of head teachers, but she wasn't telling the right part of her story that head teachers could relate to. Once we shifted that and we tweaked that is when she got the results. Okay. Here's the other key to being world class. Now remember, this isn't in particular order. This all comes, hopefully you're going to do all of these 7.5 steps. But world class speakers are able to move through the 12 archetypes, period. They shift through them really well. From Tony Robbins, Les Brown, Eric Thomas, Brené Brown, All of them do these 12 archetypes really well. I'm going to show you what they are. I'm not going to leave you hanging. Don't worry. I'm going, oh, what's the archetypes? Well, for that, you have to work with me. No, I'm going to show you them. Okay. I'll give you a brief talk through each one of them so you understand. This is what I talk about when I speak on stage. I talk about the 12 archetypes. This is what's going to differentiate. This is world class. I know Lena seen me speak about it. Me, a couple of you see, I think Ricky saw me at the summit talk about this. This is the differentiator. This is what gives you freedom of expression. This is what gives you a variety of delivery, both content and storytelling. But most people are stuck in executive. Most people stuck teaching content. They're like a teacher that stands on stage and conveys information, right? Not enough anymore. People want variety. People want to be engaged. They want to be moved. They want to be connected, right? We've shifted. We've changed. We had enough teachers at school. I don't want to see another teacher on stage, right? Not saying the executive doesn't have importance, but most people are stuck on executive, especially in the UK, right? Then you got your preacher archetype, which is your Les Brown, where he's, you're part of a higher purpose from me to you. It's not a conversation. It's when you want to rattle people's model of the world. It's when you want to kick some butt in a loving way, right? That's preacher. Commander's instructional, which one was when I started working with him. That's all about getting up, moving to the side, sit down, right? That's all about instructional. Motivator, yes, it's that. A lot of people think motivator is Tony Robbins being loud, being shouty. That's a style. Motivate archetype is unlimited belief in your audience. You absolutely believe in them, whatever they're doing. It's that unlimited belief. And that's the space you come from. Now, what I want to be very clear about the archetypes, this isn't about acting, it's about being. You shift through these different archetypes to maximize impact. Because I always get this from people when I talk about the archetype. Won't it be inauthentic of me if I did this archetype, but it's not me? What I say to that is it's about giving yourself unlimited ways to deliver, right? So it's not about pretending. Look, if you hate being a preacher archetype, and you know what I mean, don't do it. Don't go there. But it's knowing how to move between them. You can be a preacher without being loud, right? So just I want you to show the variety of this is what world-class speakers do. They move between them, right? Mesmerizes when you use the space above your head and you're using gestures to pull people in, right? To set them up for storytelling. Superstars, big energy, big, strong, powerful energy, and you command the stage. Pirate is when you're playfully dealing with hecklers in the audience, or you're coming at an audience at a topic that's really rather serious, but you're being quite, you know, piratey about it. If you watch Sir Ken Robinson's TED talk about education, he's being very pirate about the topic, but it's very serious. You're calling something out, right? Jesters when you're having fun and you're playful. Channelers when you tap into the room, you can read the room, you tap into the energy, right? And therefore you're able to really connect with them. Fairy is being fun. Everything's fun, everything's fresh, everything's new, which is great for Q&A. When you've heard that question over and over again, I think you're still in this space, Abigail, but Abigail goes, so Abigail, what's the secret to great time management? And you've heard that question 100 times. If you're in fairy energy, it's like you hear it the first time. Wow, that's a great question, but without being hammy or cheesy, right? Caregiver is that heart space where you're really feeling the audience and you're really tapped into it. And Stephen Bartlett does this on his interviews. Oprah does it when she's talking to people, but it's being in that truly caring space. And when you're getting your message across, you're in that caregiver place where it really moves people to see how much you care. And Majesty is great for storytelling for taking questions. It's when you're quietly powerful. So Majesty isn't it's a very understated power where you standing, you're commanding the stage. If you think about Majesty, where it goes back to, with a look of an eye, a Majesty, king or queen could have someone's head chopped off. They didn't need to go off with their head, although we always play with that. It's that real assured commanding presence. Brian Tracy's a good Majesty. If you've seen Maria Franzoni speak, she's Majesty. It's all very graceful and calm, right? It's very powerful, right? So those are the 12 archetypes, and a lot of world-class speakers can weave between these really seamlessly. Of course, if you learn about it and it can be a bit clunky to begin with, but I want you to be aware of this. Now, next time By the way, if you love him or hate him or not, Tony Robbins is an absolute master of going through the archetypes, right? Yes, a lot of people equate him to the shouty, the jumpy, but actually he drops into caregiver. He's in majesty a lot. You can literally see him go through them as he does his talks, right? um, are these in my book? They're not, because I haven't written a book about them yet. So no, I don't talk about the archetypes, I'm afraid, but there you go. I'm struggling with the title a bit, How to Get the Right Balance Between Catchiness and How to Represent. What do you mean by catchiness? The key message. I'll come to that question when let me finish up and we'll go to questions. Okay, Lena? I'm with you. I'm with you. So I want you to understand that the archetypes is more freedom and different ways of expression. It's not about pretending. All right. When I was trained on this all these years ago with Frontier and I went and delivered these internationally, you'd look at it and go, oh, preacher, yuck. But when you actually go there and you learn to step into it, it's actually really powerful. It's actually really impactful. And some people, when we did the training, they would leave shaking because they didn't know they could go there. But allow yourselves the freedom to do it. And something I do when I work with people and their feedback is I look at the archetypes they could implement. Fairy, so fairy is everything's new, everything's fresh. It's like, wow, look at that flower, without being cheesy or hammy, right? Oh, everything's like nice. If you think about Ellen DeGeneres, right? Forget her reputation, but look at her presentation. She's very it's like, wow, that's so fun. Oh, that's so cool. It's that very nice new energy. Um, there you go. Rachel wrote for everything first time. Yeah, perfect. Hurry up and write your book. I've got a seventh book, by the way, sitting on my drive, and I haven't released it. So I wrote this whole book, 33,000 words, all about executive presence, and I haven't actually released it. There we go. I like to think of myself like an artist. I've written an album, but I'm not ready to release it yet. There we go. There's a singer in me somewhere. Somewhere. There we go. That was me being a bit chestery. Could you tell? There we are. All right. We're almost there, people. So are you being enlightened? Are you learning some? Give me a Y in the chat. I want to see at least 33 Ys come through that you're learning. You're getting something new. There we are. All the Ys coming through. Woohoo. Oh, yeah. Why? Yes. Good, 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 good. That's about 12, 15. I'm not going to say and wait for 33. Don't worry. Learning and refreshing. Good. That's what we want. Nice. Oh, fire. I got fire there, David. Yes. Okay, cool. So again, you'll probably need to take time to process a lot of this. I get it. I'm glad I was born with them all. And of course, in very modest, good combination. Absolutely, Frank. That is a great combination. We're all born with them all, by the way, but a lot of us tend to default to one or two. What I want you to do is be expansive. World-class speakers, they're expansive. By the way, if you want to look at a typical pirate speaker, is Gary V. He's a typical pirate speaker. He's calling stuff out. And then he's going, but I'm a nice guy. But then he'll have a go at someone, but the audience love him for it. That's a pirate archetype. But he can be gestury and he's very caregiver. He's actually very caregiver. Elon Musk is your ultimate executive archetype with majesty. Yeah, but he's very much like data. I'm not talking about if you like them or not. Okay, that's another matter. Superstar is your big energy. It's coming on. It's owning the stage. It's your big, you're loud, you're strong. Don't have to be loud, but it's that strong presence. I'm trying to, obviously Tony Robbins is your superstar type speaker. Mel Robbins, they don't have to be Robbins, by the way. There's other ones, but that's that big, what's his name? I can see his face. I can't see his name. It slipped my mind. Anyway, big, strong energy. So, when a lot of speakers walk in and they're like this, arms up, and, they're like, hello, it's that kind of big energy. Yeah. So that's your superstar. Now, again, you wouldn't do a whole talk in superstar, right? You wouldn't. It's just too much energy. But coming on or every now and then going there can really shift things as well. I'm changing my name to Rachel Robbins. Then I love a superstar present. There we go. See, I've inspired you to change your name. That's never happened before, but there we go. Right. Let's get to the 7.5s and then I can scroll and take some questions and then we can go from there. So here's the other thing. So 7.5. I love world-class speakers I work with. They know they're humble, they can improve, period. They don't settle, hence the obsession with details. They aim for perfection, but they live in progress, right? You cannot let perfection be an inhibitor. You cannot go, when it's perfect, I will. That is terrible language, right? When I've done this, when it's perfect, then it will never arrive. It just won't happen. Live in the progress, deliver, refine, feedback, refine, yeah, deliver again, but live in the progress. Elon Musk is full on. He is full on. Yeah, progress over perfection. Yeah, live in progress. Period. Like, yeah. Personally, I don't particularly believe in perfection, right? Because it's this thing, it's unattainable. But I get a lot of people do. So I'm very happy for people to go, I want to be perfect, but it can't be hindrance. You got to live in progress. And the other thing, of course, they know is that they work on it all year round. So I was talking to an incredible speaker yesterday. He's in America, and very interesting story. And he says, I'm busy in May and September. Why? Because he does mental health and suicide prevention. And May is mental health month, and September's suicide prevention. And I said, what do you do in between? He goes, well, I try and get booked, but I don't get as booked. I said, do you practice your craft? He goes, no, not really. I only really start practicing when I'm booked. And that's the thing. So I think, and I talked to him and we shifted his whole thinking and positioning. But what I want you to understand that if you want to be world class, it isn't a pick up and put down. It's something that you need to continuously work on. That doesn't mean you practice every day, although I do know speakers that do every day. They'll get up, they'll do a run through. I do know some people like that. They're very rare. I don't practice every single day, but I do know that it's a all year round thing. Yeah. Um, so that's what I want to say. That's a 7.5. So let's take some questions now. Also, what I'd love to know is what are your key learnings that you've taken from these 7.5 steps? Even if you're perfect, someone won't resonate. Yeah. So living in progress is far more empowering. You're right. Absolutely. It's so more empowering to know you're moving forwards than standing still, period. And people that are obsessed, they're like, oh, it needs to be perfect. They're not moving, right? Keeping at it. Yay. Uh, I've learned. Okay. Let me see. I know there's some. Okay. Lena, what was your question? There'll be a replay link. Yes, I'll be emailing that out as well. Um, do I have speakers I really, really admire? I will come to you, Lena, because I know you had the questions. So you just unmute yourself. There are lots that I really, really admire. I really love that Admiral, Make Your Bed Talk. I think he's a fantastic speaker. Jim Carrey is a great, not his acting, his speaking. Talk about going through archetypes. Watch him. Of course, he's the king of gesture, but actually he goes caregiver, he goes channeler. I love watching Jim Carrey speak. I think he's so powerful as well. Simon Sinek, I enjoy because of his content, not necessarily because of Simon, but what he has to say is really interesting. And watch his talk when he talked about Martin Luther King and why it had an impact. I can't remember its name, but that's a great TED talk as well. So those are some people off the top of my head that I've been watching a lot lately as well, really listening and taking in their stuff. So yes, Lena, what was your question? Can you come off because I couldn't quite understand it when you wrote it.
Can. Thank you. Um, so I'm struggling between because the title that I could give my talk that would be, that would help people understand immediately what the key message is. It's not very catchy, whereas the catchy version that I have, it's not very given in terms of, people wouldn't really know what to expect. Well, they would have an idea, but not as much of an idea as I would like them to. So, and I'm stuck.
Yeah. It doesn't always have to be catchy, just memorable, right? And I know that, look, start with why isn't clever, but it's very simple and to the point. If you want to change the world, make your bed. Again, it's just very simple and to the point. So I wouldn't overthink it too much, right? My talk, now I've forgotten the name of my talk. That's so weird. Considering on on the line of excellence. So it's got to reflect what you're speaking about. It doesn't have to be your message, though. I don't want you to be confused that your message can come through your talk, right? The speaker talks about show me the money. So every section she finishes with show me the money. But the name of her talk isn't show me the money. So I know it can be confusing, but I would go with actually what's more likely to get you booked. So, you know, if almost if you think of it like a single, what's going to get the single played doesn't necessarily have to be the chorus.
Mm.
Yeah, I hope that helps.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
Mm.
fantastic. I always struggle with being known for something, then having 4 talks, so they're all different talks, different roads from that. Can I just, yeah, you can have one signature talk. I would suggest you have one signature talk that you get really booked for, then you can expand. That's what I mean. Like a bit like a musician, have your single, people will buy the album, but just have your single, get known for that single. Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you like it, Mark. Thank you. Let me see if there's any question. Are there questions? Caregiver, very much caregiver. Katie, Brian, Katie. Yep, she's very vulnerable, very caregiver, very majesty, by the way. Katie, yeah, Brian, Katie. Give ChatGPT an outline of your speech and message and ask for suggestions for titles. There we go. There's some ideas there as well. So look, that is world-class speaking. So if you are interested in one and you want my feedback, that's fantastic. As you know, it's 147 up to 90 minutes. We'll look at your presence, your layering, your actionable stuff, your content, everything we've talked about here, and then what to do about it. So the link is back in the chat. I'll also email it out. Let's work together, you know. Of course, if you do book by Friday, you'll get the gig getters document as well. Love the session with you last year. Oh, thank you, Sarah. I enjoyed working with you too. And you know, you can already be up there and you want to do better, or maybe you want to get up there. It's wherever you are. I can work to the level you're at. You know, if you do book before Friday, I will be emailing this out as well. So go to the database as well. But you are the first to hear about it. So yay. But more than anything, I really hope that you've learned like the key elements that make world class and understanding that this is, you know, this is progress. It's about continuous working on yourself. It's not a one or, you know, it's you don't just do and dip, and it's a continuous thing. Did I tell you I have 4 inquiries? Oh no, I didn't know you had 4 inquiries, Gia Lily. Wow, for your talk. Great that we worked on. That's fantastic news. Yay. Just keep going, people. Keep working on it. Keep refining it. Add those details. I'll email the link to this as well, so you have it, and you can just keep if you miss bits of it or you need to rewatch it as well. But I really hope that either way, I see you again soon. Keep going, keep working, and I'll see you. Have a lovely rest of the day, people. Hope you get out there and make the impact you want. And I'll speak to you soon. I'll stay back if anyone has any questions, by the way. But have a lovely day if you want to jump off. Bye.
Elliot, I have a question. Shall I wait in case?
No, ask away. Ask away.
Yeah, very quick one. If I were to get myself the Black Friday offer, would I be able to collect sometime in January, or would you want to do it before? It's just the time scales.
It's up to you. No, you can do it in January. It's no problem. What I don't want is people booking and then kind of March next year or April next year. It's like, I'd rather it's done in the 30 days, but of course you can do it January. It's not a problem.
Wonderful. Thank you. And thank you for today.
Always a pleasure. Lovely to see you again.
Yeah, I have a question as well.
Yes. Hi, Sarah.
Hi. Thanks for the session, by the way.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, after this opportunity, is there any follow-up opportunity off the back of this?
Say again, sorry.
Is there any follow-up off the back of the VIP program?
Do you mean of the one-to-one? Yeah, of course there's other products, but for now I'm just focused on the one-to-one feedback session. But yeah, if you wanted more, we can have that conversation.
Work something out. All right, cool.
Yeah, of course.
And it's with you directly, not someone else.
Yeah, with me. No, you're not going to get my team. It's okay.
All right, cool. All right, I'll sign up anyway. Thank you.
Brilliant. Yay, thank you.
All right then. Thanks for today.
No, it's my pleasure. Work with you soon.
All right.
Brilliant. Anyone else have any questions? I'm more than happy to answer any questions you may have. I'll come off this now and we can stop the recording. Let's also stop the streaming.